There is an update on Social Security. A new inflation data is released, and experts are now predicting how much the next cost of living adjustment will be. That's going to be worth for seniors or retirees. Some insist that Social Security recipients can expect to see an increase of at least 3.5%, so make sure to watch to the end to see what Joe Biden is going to do for the fourth stimulus. Because retirees claiming Social Security got a bigger than normal bump to their benefits this year, thanks to the program's annual COLA. It's causing some of the highest level of inflation seen in 4 decades. This pushed the average monthly benefit checks of retired workers up to nearly $1,800. With the year now approaching the halfway mark, it's important to look at the COLA adjustment and potential rise that could be raising for Social Security retirees. The SSI calculates the COLA looking at the CPIW, which tracks the prices of a market basket of consumer goods and services. It's one way to gauge inflation. The administration looks at the average CPIW number in the third quarter of the year, which includes the months of July, August, and September. Then the SSA compares the average CPIW in the third quarter to the average CPIW in the third quarter of the prior year. The percentage difference between these numbers is the following year's COLA, which is why inflation is the main driver. There can be no negative COLAs, and we know from the headlines that the inflation rate has started slow and is now down below 5%. In one regard, this is good for retirees in the sense that prices are not growing as fast as they did last year. Retirees have higher benefits, which should they help their purchasing power. But it may not bode as well as their COLA for 2024. While it is not yet the third quarter, if we look at the first 5 months of the year, the difference between the first monthly members this year and the last year has started to shrink along with inflation. So based on where the inflation right now and where it's expected to go, it seems quite possible that the COLA for 2024 ends up in 3.5%. That's a pretty good rate, everybody, but still, it makes it obvious that Joe Biden should send out the fourth stimulus check. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments below.
Radical idea. All of these conditions were imposed on companies that received funding from the CARES Act and passed the Senate by a 96-0 vote.
Here is the breaking news from the Biden administration. The lawmakers from the Senate are meeting to discuss a new action plan just to tackle the U.S. debt ceiling. Democrats have already proposed sending at least one more relief check to $1,000. So, millions of people in South Carolina are expected to receive a one-time income tax rebate of up to $700. Payments started going out via printed debit card and paper check and direct deposit as well, all through the start of November. However, it will continue through the end of the year and into next year, 2023. But now, folks, South Carolina is hardly the only state giving taxpayers a reason to rush to the mailbox. Massachusetts began refunding $3 billion in surplus tax revenue to residents this month. Illinois is also doing the same, issuing $50 and $100 of income tax rebates. Income tax refund checks of up to $800 started going out to South Carolina taxpayers back in November, and any resident who paid taxes will receive a rebate, with the amount increasing based on their tax liability, up to an $800 cap per filing. It's a full refund for those who paid $800 or less, which includes 33% of taxpayers. The rebates are being issued per person, and regardless of whether you filed individually or jointly, those who do not pay income taxes, which is around 45% of South Carolina residents, will not receive a check. The main taxpayers, well, who have filed their 2021 state tax returns and have an adjusted gross income of less than $100 grand, were eligible for an $850 direct check this year as well. Couples filing jointly received a single payment of $1,700, which is a ton of money. New Mexico is also being issued a rebate to all taxpayers. The payments are just broken into parts. The first sent out in June, the second in August, and now the third payment coming right now this month. The state also issued $250 in rebates in July to taxpayers who filed individually. Married couples filing jointly with incomes received $500, and both friends. The lawmakers in both the House and Representatives, and as well as the Senate, are concerned about how the inflation is affecting millions of Americans. It has led to an increase in stimulus proposals, and now Chuck Schumer told reporters that the Senate will need to address the nation's debt ceiling in coming weeks. Schumer vowed to tackle it and other major issues in a productive session before the current Congress ends. At a news conference, Schumer said the debt ceiling is of course something we have to deal with, and it's something that we will look at over the next few weeks. Democratic leaders in the Senate will move forward with this week, and now, today, a senior advisor to President Biden said the administration is going to win the legal battle over the student debt administration lawsuit. They have said that the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness program is actually constitutional. So now, during an appearance on CBS News, sources note that millions of young voters expected Democrats to win 2024. But now, after the administration said this, they added that, make no mistake about it, President Biden made a commitment to people in America. It's not just about young people, it's also about people of every age. We will prevail in the court, and at the point we will swiftly move to make sure that we get over 26 million people the money they need. And the lawsuit against the Biden administration was filed last month. And now, on behalf of one borrower who was ineligible for the relief program and another who is not eligible for the full $20,000, Biden's administration and the student debt relief program would include $10,000 in loan forgiveness just for borrowers who make less than $125,000 annually, and up to $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients. We have a new fourth stimulus check that's eligible for you to get. The lawmakers expect to send out 100,000 payments this year. Some Americans have already until the end of this year to apply to receive the money. And also, here is an update on the fourth stimulus check. Eligible Americans in Delaware
living increase for their Social Security starting next year, but we're learning from experts that may not be a good thing. Other benefits based on income levels and in some instances lead to penalties if you don't withhold enough money.
Or COLA is based off of the rate of inflation. It's at a 40-year high.
A couple of clients who I have worked with, and they are struggling to pay their rent.
Everyone, regardless of where a person lives or how much they have in savings, it will go to people automatically.
We got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and SSDI. Here's what I want you guys to know about the fourth stimulus payment. It's very, very important. There are several ways that you may be able to receive additional stimulus cash from the federal government. Lawmakers have already announced new plans that have been put forward in Congress. It just comes as a way to aim and provide more relief to the people in need. Homeowners have already experienced income loss in the course of the crisis. While some may have recovered from the events of the past 2 years, homeowners might still be struggling to keep up with their housing payments, especially in light of recent inflation. So, early on in the crisis, homeowners were given the option to pause on their mortgage payments via a process known as forbearance, but that option expired after 18 months. It means that mortgage borrowers who took advantage of it early may have exhausted that relief months ago. The good news, though, is that there is still relief available, and for people who are struggling with household expenses, don't worry because President Biden got your back. Homeowners could be eligible for as much as $80,000 in aid. While this is certain, projections like mortgage forbearance have been largely run out there's still some aid available for property owners thanks to the Homeowner Assistance Fund, and the fund is at a good use of $10 billion available to pay to homeowners who are just behind the mortgage and other housing-related expenses. The fund has a good $10 billion available to pay to homeowners who are behind the mortgages and other housing-related expenses. As was the case with rental assistance funds, money from the Homeowner Assistance Fund will be given out at the state level, but eligible recipients will be in line